What is this? There's three! There's three little happy peas in there. Three happy peas. Three happy peas. That's what I like to see. The day. Carpe diem. Kobe. So, to maintain my reputation of the most topical and relevant video maker of the day on YouTube, I'm making a video about the best games that I played in 2018, 3 weeks into January. No, yeah, 2018 was another fantastic year for video games. A ton of stuff came out and I didn't really play much of it. Cite giant list here. But I still played a lot of great games in 2018 that I really enjoyed, that had a great experience that I wanted to talk about today. Now, because I am in an indefinite cycle of catching up to playing video games from years gone by, there were a few games in 2017 that I played in 2018 that actually made this list. It's my video. Do you think I care about what you think about if I'm breaking the rules? Do you hear that? Do you hear that? That's you crying. Crying because you didn't get I'm breaking the rules. Roy, stop breaking the rules. You can't do games that came out in 2017. Do you think I care? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm crazy. I wear a hat that's purple. You think I care about what you think and when you're crying? Wow, wow. Without further ado though, let's just get into my favorite games that I played in 2018. I enjoy a wide variety of genres, from JRPGs and turn-based strategy titles to first-person shooters and fighting games. I love the gaming medium as a whole. Almost. Farming games have always been a challenge for me to really sink my teeth into. I've tried your Harvest Moons and even your Stardew Valleys, but nothing in the genre has really sucked me in and captured me like other games have. That is, at least until I played Slime Rancher. And in all fairness, it's certainly not a typical farming game, but it relies on the same standard principles of the category, just with a few twists thrown in. I don't know if it's the first-person shooter aspect of the game, or the fact that I've enjoyed titles like Minecraft where you get a very tangible sense of progression as you work and work more, but Slime Rancher really checks all my boxes. It had me delving into guides, trying to craft the ultimate efficient tactics for farming, and even had me scarily addicted for a short period of time. I actually had buyer's remorse when I was first playing Slime Rancher, but once I got past the initial hour mark, I could not stop playing. The game has an ingenious sense of progression and advancement by rewarding you with new areas to explore. Then, within those areas, you find new slimes to experiment with and find new variations, and from those two aspects, you get new farming equipment, which allows you to explore more, and then new slimes, and so on and so forth. It's an incredibly addictive cycle that I could never have predicted myself falling into. Fighting games have always been a favorite of mine, stemming from my childhood of Smash and Soul Calibur, but breaking into other fighting games has always been a bit tough for me over the years. Street Fighter was far too technical for my taste, and Tekken always seemed too difficult to start getting into. I always considered Marvel vs. Capcom, but the 3 fighter per player structure seemed really strange and just outlandish for me. That was until a few friends of mine got into Dragon Ball FighterZ. I've never seen an episode of Dragon Ball, just a few clips of it. But when I played that first round with a friend and heard the satisfying sound effects play in conjunction with the stellar visuals and weighty feeling combos, I knew that I was locked into my next fighting game. Dragon Ball FighterZ is a spectacular title for anyone who wants to get into it. It offers a great level of accessibility for those concerned with skill, as it has an easy to comprehend combo system and makes every action you pull off, simple or not, insanely fun to use and watch, due to how satisfying all the elements of the game are. The game also offers an insanely high skill ceiling for those who are looking to rise to the top. It's quite rare for fighting games to bridge the gap between casual fun and competitive skill, and Dragon Ball FighterZ pulls it off like a 3-hit combo. When I was 14, I was introduced to the Shadow of the Colossus on the PS2, and though I never finished it back then, I was completely taken with it. When Shadow of the Colossus was remade from the ground up on the PlayStation, I knew that I had to experience the game entirely myself this time around. It certainly did not disappoint, as Shadow of the Colossus delivers on what it's always focused on and promised: cinematically epic boss battles. Nearly every time I encountered one of the fights in Shadow of the Colossus, I found myself gasping or having a moment of realization at just how epic this particular moment in the game was. The bosses aren't pushovers either. I wouldn't describe them as insanely difficult, but the challenge is certainly there, which only adds to the climactic feeling each fight gives you. An overture of battle music swells as you begin to gain the upper hand on the Colossi. It brings the atmosphere of this game to a whole new level as the world becomes utterly immersive. It doesn't hurt that it's a drop-dead gorgeous game either. Nearly each aspect about this title shines fantastically in their own right. The overworld may be empty, but the feeling you get when taking on an enormous Colossus against all odds certainly isn't. I am a nostalgia freak. I take pride in it, I love it, and I own it. So logically, when Game Freak announced Pokemon Let's Go, a brand new remake of my first ever Pokemon journey, I was not thrilled at all. It's weird looking back on how I felt about these games. They were obviously nostalgia cash grabs, but even with that notwithstanding, I still couldn't get excited for this title. I had absolutely zero interest in it, but after it released and I saw how it played up close, I actually began getting that beautiful fuzzy feeling of nostalgia again. Pokemon Let's Go definitely has an unignorable cash-grabbiness underbelly to it, but the experience of walking back through Kanto all these years later in a new and up-to-date 3D style really outweighs that feeling for me. I learned to love that the encounters with wild Pokemon are no longer battles, but rather just capture tests. It really keeps the pace of the game at a more consistent, fast level. And with random encounters essentially made a thing of the past, a lot of my issues with the Pokemon series have been solved here by Let's Go. And the ability to finally, again, let your Pokemon walk with you on your adventures brings out that inner child within us all. Look at it! It's so cute, it's so adorable, and there's nothing better than walking around with a Genghis Khan general, scaring everybody, carrying you like the king that you are, like the chief of the tribe. People cower in fear when they see you walking by with your Genghis Khan. After we all got the post-E3 depression about Smash Ultimate being an entire 6 months away, I needed a fix. So I came across a game called Slap City on Steam, and after picking it up, I immediately realized it as a homage to the competitive nature of Melee, but with its own twist and insanely quirky design. Soon thereafter, a few friends and I began playing it and had an absolute ball. Slap City has the best aspects of the competitive nature of the Smash series, but when it gets expressed in such an eccentric and shoestring package, you can't help but be charmed by it. Every single part of Slap City is delightful, from the visuals to the gameplay to the characters, and it's some of the most fun I've had with a game all year. And oh yeah, its online actually works kinda. Take notes, Nintendo. It kinda works. Yours doesn't. Take notes, please. Get your notepad out. I know you sitting there with your clipboards. Take notes. This is how you do basic online. Please, Nintendo, please just fix your online for God's sakes. Hollow Knight has been on my list of games to hit for a while now, and when I saw it release on the Switch, I knew it was time to try it out. Only 10 minutes in and I was in love. No game has been able to establish such an atmosphere in quite the way that Hollow Knight is able to. It's another instance where the music, sounds, core gameplay, and aesthetic all come together to crescendo relentlessly in tandem with one another. But unlike Dragon Ball FighterZ, this symphony of game design doesn't call too much attention to itself. Instead, it subtly pulls you into its world and keeps pulling you and keeps you hooked for more. Hollow Knight is essentially a Metroidvania, and it's the perfection of the genre. Each lap around an area, or a hit taken, or a game over only furthers your grasp on the layout of the game's world, and as you begin to further understand its nuances, it'll pace out new mechanics, new places, and new things for you to continually progress towards. Hollow Knight is a game that truly understands video games, and it uses that knowledge to procure an enjoyable adventure through a fantastically designed world with fantastically designed gameplay. Fire Emblem is a series that's in the midst of an identity crisis. It began morphing with Awakening, and cemented its change with Fates, where things went drastically into a new direction. For a fan of the series who enjoyed the games of old, where military campaigns, character-driven stories, and challenging strategy gameplay were at the forefront of the series, seeing this direction did not bode too well. But then, Shadows of Valentia released, a remake of the second Fire Emblem game on the NES. I got around to playing it in 2018, and it shattered my expectations entirely. It has its fair share of drawbacks, mostly due to being a remake of an older, more archaic game from an old time, but the instant I saw the opening and title screen, I knew that the tone of the old Fire Emblem days had returned. The more I played, the more I realized that this game took the tone to heart. Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia is a truly fantastic Fire Emblem experience, and one that I can only hope we see more of in the series' future. Immersion is a word that gets thrown around a lot when people discuss video games, and while I'm certainly guilty of this, I still cannot stress the impressive levels of immersion that Spider-Man on the PS4 reaches. When you suit up and begin web swinging, the feeling that you get is a delightful rush, and is one that never dissipates from the game's core mechanics of web swinging, even long after the game is over. Each swing and grapple piles up your momentum, making traversal a fun, self-given challenge of trying to swing in the most efficient manner possible. The addition of web zipping also allows the world map itself to add a new dimension to the web swinging process. Instead of simply being obstacles to get around, buildings, street lamps, signs, and trees all serve instead here as points to web zip right onto and off of at a fast speed to continue and build upon your ballet of mid-air momentum with. Never before has traversal in a video game been such a delightful and intriguing experience. The combat of Spider-Man also adds to the enjoyment as it allows multiple approaches to each scenario. For your stealth players, you can get in and take the enemies down one by one. For your web enthusiasts, you have the ability to prioritize air combat with web attacks. And for those who want to run in and brawl it out like I do, Spider-Man allows for that approach as well. Spider-Man PS4 took my breath away. It is truly just the pinnacle of the video game medium. I think it's fair to say that this number one pick is predictable, and it really is. I feel strange giving my favorite game of 2018 to a title that was only released less than a month before the year's end, but as someone who grew up on the Smash Bros. Series and is still going strong with a deep love for it, there was never any doubt in my mind that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate would be my favorite game of 2018. With over 70 characters, a massive story mode, and a focus on the more competitive side of the series, my love for Ultimate was instant and will be undying. It gives players an insanely large roster with every character that's ever appeared in the series, and manages to still add a few newcomers of its own. Even the Spirit story mode, which I was expecting to disregard entirely, stole my heart and did not disappoint with all the fun homages to the deepest of cuts in the history of Nintendo's past games. Classic mode came back as well, and was given a new spark in the form of unique battles for different fighters. The soundtrack brings new bombastic remixes together, and strings together a soundtrack of 800 tracks. The quality of life improvements are all very minor, but add up to a huge difference. Custom rule sets, stage selection with music, better menus, and much more all add up to make a huge difference between Ultimate and past Smash games, and gives players customizability never seen before. Playing as Roy has also never felt better, and I couldn't be happier, yet nearly every character on the roster still feels fun in their own way and has a magnetic pull to play nearly all of them. Then there's the insanely kinetic physics of Ultimate, which makes games fast-paced and delivers each match with a furious flow. Being back into that mode of stringing together impromptu combos in the heat of a tense battle is a powerful feeling that Ultimate manages to still deliver time and time again. Smash Ultimate is likely here to stay for a long while, and I cannot wait to see where it goes.